this session on coronavirus and how to deal with this. Today, we are very happy to invite Dr. Pratit Samdani, who has been an accomplished professor and a physician and the most sought after. Generally, a professor he may not be having practical this one. That is how our understanding is in the other fields. But he is a professor most sought after for treatment, and we are grateful to have him today. Thanks to Mr. Amit Goela, who is our director, and he's one of his best friends. And thanks to him, and today we have him today for educating us, all of us, on how to deal with the pandemic, and going forward we should be able to live a safely and healthy. And at this point in time, in order to educate all of us as to how to deal with this pandemic without any fear, and how do we live safely, and how do we carry on our activities without any fear. And we have also one of our doctor warrior who has been with us is Dr. Nikhil Kothari. Since beginning, he has been guiding us. He is a resident doctor. And once again, I welcome Dr. Pratit and Dr. Nikhil Kothari. And thanks to one and all for sparing your time to attend this session for us. But ever since this particular COVID has struck, most of us are on constant touch, and he is constant touch with every patient and every one of us in office, and including my team. And I'm grateful to him, and he will be moderating the session. And once again, I welcome Dr. Pratit and Dr. Nikhil Kothari. And thanks to one and all for sparing your time to attend this session.
Introduce Dr. Pratit Samdani. He is an honorary associate professor of medicine and head of the medicine unit at GT Hospital and Sir JJ Group of Hospitals in Mumbai. Apart from private practice at his clinic located at Chapati, he is also a consultant physician at Jaslok, Breach Candy, Sefi, and Kambala Hill hospitals. We look forward to hearing what Sir has to share with us, and he has been handling COVID patients himself at all these institutes. So we'll just get started without further ado.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Reddy. Thank you, Dr. Nikhil Kothari. Thank you, Mr. Amit Goela, the organizers, Tejal, and your backup team for giving me this opportunity. So I'm going to be talking about COVID or Corona today, and we're going to start right from the basics, and then we'll go on here ahead. Just to begin, this disease or this viral infection is here to stay, so we have to learn and cope how to live with it rather than be fearful. And I must tell you, the news is that most patients do well. Most patients do very, very well. So that's the best part about this illness. We have to face it. It's a pandemic that occurs, historically once in 100 years, and we'll see about the other ones. So I'll start as soon as I get to share my slides. Can that be seen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll start. So, I just want everyone here in the audience, and before I start my entire talk, I am ready to take any questions at the end of the session in whatever language you want, locally used most commonly when I say that. English, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, that's all the languages that I can speak, but I'm more than happy. Don't be scared of asking any questions. I'm there to answer them. So, this is the time that we can do what we've never wanted to do, and we've always dreamt of doing: read books, listen to music, watch movies, play games, Monopoly, learn how to play an instrument. We all have been wanting to do something in life, and we've never really found the time off to do this. So as we work from home, I think we have also enough time, especially in a city like Mumbai, where commuting takes so much time to do whatever we've decided to do. The agenda for tonight is the following: introduction and origin of the virus, signs, symptoms, and management. And that's not medical management. I'll tell you what one can do at home and in office. Remember the big five, the myths and facts about COVID-19. What happened and why did we go into a lockdown, and what the effects of lockdown? If people are wondering, why did we go into a lockdown? Was it really necessary? I have the answers for you here. Nutrition and foods. India is a different scenario, and we should be happy with it. How do you get back to work, and what do you think is the future? What do I think is the future? So we know this virus, COVID virus, is the one that's depicted up on the left, on the right side, and this is a virus that is circular. It's an RNA virus, and it has a crown-like feature, and we know it's engulfed. It's masked the entire world, right from America to New Zealand today. So is this a new virus? Well, the COVID virus, or the SARS-CoV-2, is a novel virus that was founded in 2019. What is a virus? So a virus is a small or a submicroscopic agent which is infectious. That means it can cause infection and multiplies only when it's in a host. So it cannot multiply on its own. It has to go to a host, and most commonly a host in this case is an animal or a human. It's originated in a place called Wuhan in the Hubei province in China, and it's supposed to have originated in the seafood market. Apparently, Wuhan, ironically and incidentally, is also a place that's known for biological warfare. So I can get your tentacles up to think what that means. It's originated from bats amongst several other animals that are traded legally. Animals like rabbits, marmots, snakes, and all the ghastly moving creatures you can think of are legally traded. People in China eat that regularly. A virus jumps from animals to humans, and that's how, as I said, it started from bats, went to humans, and that's where all the story of 2019 COVID began. Corona means crown-like. It's no new virus. It's more than 50 years old, but I've said it's 50 years old. And COVID comes from the word Co for corona, V for virus, and D for disease. It's no random name that's given. There's a scientific basis for it. Previous infections that we've had of coronavirus are SARS in 2002, which happened in China, and MERS is the Middle Eastern Respiratory Virus that happened in Saudi Arabia in 2012. They weren't pandemics, but they did affect several people. There are more than 225, 250 countries, and we are counting. I'm no one to give you the figures because the figures unfortunately only climb every second. So one can go on any site, maybe a WhatsApp also. What's a pandemic and what's an epidemic? An epidemic is an event in which a disease starts spreading actively in a small community or a town or a small nation. A pandemic is the same disease or is a disease that actually relates to a geographical spread. That means it spreads from countries to countries and continents to continents, and that's what's happening with this virus here. So have we had previous pandemics? Yes. So 1720, 1820, 1920, 2020. Now, does that sound strikingly abnormal? Well, that's the truth. We had one in 1720, the cholera in 1820, the Spanish flu, the more recent one in 1920. And in 2020, we are now with COVID and coronavirus. I don't know what's going to happen in 3020. I don't think any one of us is going to survive that, but probably there will be one. And globally and historically, these pandemics have wiped out populations. Almost 90% of Americans were wiped out with Spanish flu. Smallpox killed 56 million people. So these have been ghastly infections in the past. What are the common signs and symptoms? So fever is the most common symptom. You can get a dry cough. You can get fatigue. You can get phlegm. Phlegm is not common, but you still can get it. Phlegm means, like cough or bulgum. Shortness of breath. Now, shortness of breath certainly is one of the most defining, or I won't say ghastly, but one that takes your eyes more commonly is shortness of breath. Muscle pain and joint pain. Sore throat. So commonly it starts with fever and sore throat. You can get a headache like any other viral infection. Chills, rigors. let me tell you, gastrointestinal side effects like vomiting and diarrhea are not uncommon with COVID. They're pretty common. So that can also be a manifestation of COVID. And of course, many people lose the sense of smell. So they have something medically that we call as anosmia and parosmia, where they can't smell properly. I'll have to delete these. I don't know. 1 second. Sorry. Okay. What has happened? You know, India is losing an estimated 40,000 crores a day because of this lockdown. It's the only way to decrease the spread of viral infection. Incubation period of this virus is 1 to 14 days, and replication time will help this virus survive. So when you have 1 to 14 days, that's the time when one can spread the infection. To break the chain, I think right in the beginning, a lockdown was imperative. Clearly, because of the lockdown, we have seen that India has fared better. Otherwise, right in the beginning, numbers could have been catastrophic. Now, how does COVID or coronavirus spread? This is essentially an infection that spreads through droplets, or when you cough, sneeze, talk loudly, whatever little spit or droplets come out from your mouth or nose, those infect patients. However, there are other modes of infection which we will go into later, but they are very, very nominal. How do you diagnose corona besides the signs and symptoms? At present, we only have the test, that's the PCR test. That's the one pictorially shown. You put in a swab inside your nasal area and inside your mouth, and we take the swabs. Antibody tests will come. We have several drugs in the pipeline, some of which are going to be here no sooner than later, especially remdesivir and favipiravir. The other drugs, of course, already are available: hydroxychloroquine, lopinavir, and ritonavir. So we have some drugs, but we don't have definitive antivirals. Some minerals like zinc and magnesium have some specialized therapy in patients with COVID. Until we get a definitive therapy, I think isolation and hygiene is the only thing. Please remember, ladies and gentlemen, not everything is cancelled. Sunshine is not cancelled. Spring is not cancelled. Don't get depressed. Love is never cancelled. Relationships are there to stay. Reading should be a part of your life. Naps is something that you always dreamt of and you'll get it. Devotion should be in your heart. Music should ring in your ears. Dancing should be on the floors. Imagination should be wild. Kindness should always be there. And conversations like these with a physical distance never stop. Hope is what we all live in. Now, what are the big fives that I was telling you? I'm sorry, it's just going above one screen. So the big five, the first was elbows. Whenever you cough or you sneeze, please sneeze in your elbow, not openly like the way it's shown pictorially. So when I tell people, whenever you cough and sneezed in the past, you always said, excuse me, please. Now I tell them, say elbow, please, and say to yourself, use your elbow to use that. Face, do not touch any part of your face without washing your hands. It's estimated that a normal human sometimes touches their face up to 2,000 times a day unknowingly. It could be your hair, your eyes, your itchiness, your ears, your lips, whatever, 2,000 times a day. Please keep a physical distance. I don't like to use the word social distance. A physical distance between two people, at least 6 feet apart. This eliminates or completely reduces the risk of transmission. Until then, please stay at home. Please, the first one that's not here is wash your hands. So you must wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds or with an alcohol-based rub, which has at least 70% alcohol. I'm going to send this video to you all later in view of time on how to wash your hands. And I think it's an excellent video. What is the importance of social distancing? See this maths. If there was one person who had 50% less contact, a normal person who had a normal contact with no isolation and no lockdown, he would infect about 2.5 people in 15 days. And in about 30 days, he would infect 400 people. Suppose we had a lockdown and the contact from person to person was 50% less. it would be 15 people in 30 days. And if the contact was 75% less, it would mean 2.5 people. That's why our numbers have certainly been less because of an early lockdown. So we have won on that circumstance, on that front. What about vitamin C? Does vitamin C help you? Vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin, helps build immunity, does not cure COVID. So if someone tells you I'm taking vitamin C, I won't get COVID, that's not the truth. Rich sources of vitamin C are citrus fruits, juices, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. They're all rich sources of vitamin C. So if you have enough of green vegetables and fruits, you don't need to take a supplement of vitamin C. Whether pets can spread COVID? Luckily, no. So if you have pets, be happy. Can cow dung and cow urine cure COVID? Let's leave the cow dung and urine for more fertilizing properties than for curing COVID. Whether eggs can transmit COVID? No. Whether shipments from China can cause COVID? No, unless you've got a bag of viruses from Wuhan. Whether temperature differences, hot and chill, will kill the virus? Absolutely no. It's said that if the temperature rises, the effectiveness or the rate of transmission of the virus may decrease, but not truly. Whether eating Chinese can give you COVID? Ladies and gentlemen, it spreads by droplet infection, not by food. People, some myths. Does the new coronavirus affect older people or affects all? I think it affects all ages. I'm sure it affects all ages, but the elderly are susceptible for more severe infections. Are antibiotics effective in preventing and treating COVID? No, antibiotics are not effective. This is a viral infection. Does taking a hot bath prevent the new COVID infection? Not at all. A hot bath does not prevent a COVID infection. Are hand dryers effective in killing the new COVID? No, unless you're going to get those specialized hand dryers which have some filaments which will help. At the moment, no. Can you recover from COVID? Can you recover from the coronavirus catching the new? And does it mean that catching the new coronavirus means it's the end? Not at all. As I've told you before, most patients recover from coronavirus extremely well. It's only the select 5% or 10% that have a more turmoil, but most of them, that means 90-95%, recover very well. The last question where I've been asked many times, beer leads to coronavirus. Stop drinking beer. Get back to school if you think that's the truth. Although the sales of this beer, just because of its name, has dropped by more than 60%. I think let's take out the I and you in the word virus, which can only be done by you and I. Therefore, we need to break the chain. What are the lifestyle changes? Eat healthy, sleep well, exercise enough, stay hydrated, do not smoke now and never, do not chew tobacco, let not alcohol enjoy you, avoid it at this moment. Interact with family people from home. When the cough is away, you can come out and play. Take your prescribed medications and delay on non-medical emergencies or non-medical issues, non-emergency medical issues right now. Who are the people who are at risk? People above the age of 60 years, 65 years, patients with severe cardiac conditions, patients with underlying lung conditions like asthma and bronchitis. Please remember my words, patients with uncontrolled diabetes and hypertension, patients with chronic kidney disease, liver disease, and a certain group of patients who we call as the immunocompromised patients, especially those with cancer, patients who had solid transplants, patients who are on steroids and HIV. Mental health can play havoc at this moment of time. That's why I keep telling everyone, it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing. We need our mind to be active. And outbreaks in the past have shown us that they can be extremely stressful. You can have anxiety, stress, panic, depression, phobia, worry. You can have sleeping disturbances, eating disturbances. There are some things that one can do to prevent this or combat it. For yourself, use calls and texts. Do not meet people physically. Add extra time from your stress relief, so you can do your meditation, you can do yoga, practice self-care, focus on your mental health. For your children, it's very important for people who have younger children. When they see their parents at home, they also start wondering. And most of the times parents are on the phone only talking about thy neighbor got COVID, or this one's got admitted here, ICU. So children can get a shock because their mind just keeps on listening and looking at COVID. Tell them how you're coping up with your experiences. Tell them how you're working. Do not watch a lot of media in front of your children, please. Limit their news exposures and create a routine and structure as if they were in school or college. For those people who unfortunately got COVID and have been asked to be quarantined or isolation, please keep in contact with your loved ones via all other kinds of media, social media, texts, phone calls. Create a daily self-care routine. Just don't dangle in the bed. Keep yourself busy. Play games, as I told you on my slide first. Books, movies, there's so many things to do. There are a million movies to watch. Focus on new relaxation techniques. If you've never developed a hobby, this is the time, because you still have many decades to go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, has it ever occurred to you that never in the history of mankind has a generation like us and our children been so prepared for this epidemic as our kids? They've spent their entire lives training for this day by just sitting on the sofa, not interacting with others, watching the screens. Isn't that true? They are like the modern day equivalent of Spartans, and Spartans were these Roman, soldiers who are very disciplined, certainly better prepared than us. So we and our children and our siblings and folks should have no reason to crave. We are prepared. What about diet? You should have a balanced diet. You should have adequate amounts of food. Vitamin C, as I've told you, it plays a good role in the immune system. I've told you the things that are commonly available with vitamin C. Example, green leafy vegetables. Anything that's orange or red in color has vitamin C, a simple rule. Vitamin E, again, a powerful antioxidant. Nuts such as almonds, hazelnuts, and peanuts, butters and oils are good sources. I like zinc and magnesium, as I told you before. They're supposed to have some inhibitory effect on the virus entering the cell. Also boosts the immune system, repairs body tissues. Zinc can be commonly found in meat, shellfish, legumes for the non-vegetarian shellfish, beans, dairy products, eggs, and whole grains. Magnesium is found in green leafy vegetables, bananas, avocados, asparagus, nuts, seeds, broccoli, cabbage, peas, and seafood. The government of India and the Ministry of Ayush has advised us to drink warm water, eat turmeric, that's haldi, coriander, that's dhania, garlic, that's lasun, cumin is jeera, basil is tulsi, and clove. Practice yoga, and you can have the commonly called kadha, which is the decoction of all the herbal teas along with what I mentioned above, along with cinnamon. India is different, and unfortunately I can't take this slide up. If you see the top slide, you don't need the bottom one. If you see the blue areas, these are the areas which have had malaria endemically. That means we've been a malaria prone areas, these areas. South America, Africa, you can see the bright India there, and East Asia. If you see the right side, the COVID-19 affected area or infected areas, North America, Europe, China, Australia, and New Zealand. And if you just overlap them visually, you will find that the malaria endemic areas have had less incidence and less mortality of COVID compared to the COVID infected areas right in the beginning. I know many people will say that's not true. Look at the numbers. When we look at the numbers, we must realize that India is a different scene. We are such a hugely populated country with more than 140 crore people. The density of population is, especially Mumbai, is 3 times that of New York. So the numbers will be high. But if you see the percentage of patients per square kilometer area, we are much better than the other countries. What did the lockdown do? As I told you, lockdown is important because the nature of the virus, it needs to go into a host. It lives into it can infect the host for 1 to 14 days, and that's the transmission time. Suppose right in the beginning, you just had you had infection, then you are locked down for 21 days. Sorry, you would realize that you will get a surge typically after 2 to 3 weeks. Now, suppose on the other hand, you had you first had rising number of cases, then you had a lockdown for 21 days, Then you gave a break of 5 days opening up. Then you again had a lockdown for 28 days. These 5 days that you had opened up here would infect several other people, and you'd get a massive surge right at the end of the second lockdown. Instance 3, again, lockdown 21 days, open 5 days, lockdown 4 weeks, open 5 days. Of course, the surge would not be there because this part that was causing this surge will be taken care of by the lockdown. In the fourth condition, if we just had a lockdown for 49 days, of course, the incidence of COVID-19 rising or the peaking will be there, but much less compared to being opening up. This cartoon tells us we must finally be ready when the COVID is gone. Otherwise, we will not be able to exit the room by just lazing around. The doors will be smaller and we'll be left still inside. How do you get to work? Flexibility, awareness, inspire, thankfulness are the things that you should look for. So you should be flexible to changes and situations unfold. Travel, people come into office, etc. Flexibility is required. Be aware and alert and maintain a constant vigil, not fear. Inspire everyone in the community with your exemplary behavior, your physical distancing, wearing masks, hand hygiene. Be thankful for what we have and for those who fight for us. And health is above everything else for you and everyone around you. What do you do when you start coming to office? I'm sure the office will take care of it, but meeting room usage at the moment should not be allowed. There should be no handshakes. Namaste is the way to go. Greet with your hands. Define your own chair. Don't use anyone else's chair. You never know what snot or cough is there on that. Don't share your food and snacks on the desk. Keep sanitizing or washing your hands every few hours. Sanitize your laptops, mobile, and desks at least once or twice a day. Until the lockdown also opens completely, foreign domestic travel, crash services, recreational centers, engagement activities, food courts, large gatherings and trainings must be avoided. How do you manage yourself when you need to get out of home for office? Before leaving, make sure you don't have fever. Please wear a mask the moment you step out of your house. Do not lock the door until you don't wear a mask. That's how important it is. After reaching home, also when you get out of the house, make sure you carry a small sanitizer in your bag and some tissues in case you need to cough. You don't want to spoil your clothes, your office clothes, by sneezing into your elbow. Use a disposable tissue and throw it in the correct manner. After reaching home from your office, ask someone to keep the door open if it's possible. Sanitize your hands before you enter. It's a good idea to go and take a bath and give your clothes for laundry once you're inside the house. Things to keep in mind: sanitize your vehicle on and off. Avoid gatherings. Avoid going to parks, churches, temples, mosques, synagogues at the moment. Shop from dedicated shops only. Carry your own bags. It's more advisable. And try not to have money exchange. Use e-payment methods. Disinfecting home. Kitchenware, place in boiling water for 15 minutes. Frequent contact areas like door handles, tables, chairs, and floors should be cleaned with disinfectant at least once a day. Mobiles, tablets, desktops should also be cleaned. What is the future? Definitive drug therapy, which is knocking at our doors, and I feel we should have it any day. Vaccination, it's a challenge. Please remember, everyone feels that only when you get vaccination will you be able to get ourselves in a better position. But if I give you the example of yellow fever, in 1793, there were 5,000 people who died and 17,000 people who fled in Philadelphia. 1935 was the first vaccine that was developed, and 1953 it was licensed. So if I say 1793 to 1953, almost 150 years for a vaccine to be developed for yellow fever. Are we going to wait for 150 years? No. Guess who this lady is? This lady is Jennifer Haller. She's the first non-Chinese to get a trial of the first dose of the vaccine almost a month and a half ago or 2 months ago. And the good news is she's developing good antibodies to this. So that means we do see the vaccine coming ahead much earlier than 150 years. I would say no earlier than 9 to 12 months, but the vaccine is not far away. What are the take-home messages? We are the chosen few to see such a pandemic. It occurs only once in 100 years. COVID is infectious, need to be watchful, not fearful. It will not disappear. We have to learn how to live with it. Until the complete lockdown is over and office restarts, work, exercise, spend that time with your family well, and please, of course, work for your offices. Don't get scared. Signs and symptoms are very similar to common flu. Everyone has had flu in their life. It does not have a high mortality, and I'm saying that out of personal experience. Cautious group to be on the guard. The group that I told you, more than 60, immunocompromised, uncontrolled diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, patients who've got malignancy, you have to be a little more careful. Definitive therapy is on the door. Maintain the big five. Wash your hands. Keep a physical distance. Stay at home until the orders are given. Do not step out of the house. Greet everyone. Do not touch anything. Don't touch your face. These are things that you must do. Office discipline that I've told you what you should do when you come to office should be reinforced. And I think the light at the end of the tunnel is not far and certainly visible. Until then, I've just got a tweet from President Xi Jinping. He gives a message to the world, and he's told me to convey to all you people at MCX. He says no mingling. So Xi Jinping says no mingling. Please remember that. Equality, I think, at last for all. Namaste and thank you very much. I'm more than happy to take questions or anything.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the beautiful talk, sir. It was very educative, and at the same time, it was really fun hearing your whole presentation. So we have a few questions. I'll get started with them. The first one is advice in terms of which multivitamins, vitamin C, zinc, which ones to be used. Also, the person asking the question read on a medical advisory website that zinc and vitamin C should not be taken together. So that's the first question.
Yes, so I can answer that. So any multivitamin that has zinc can certainly be taken. It doesn't matter. For someone who's not got COVID, that small amount of zinc of 5 and 10 milligrams in any vitamin is good enough. Zinc, vitamin C, and magnesium are all compatible. They certainly can be taken together. If you want brand names, any vitamin that has a Z can be just picked up. Any vitamin C that's easily available in the market can be picked up. But please remember, if you eat what I've told you, which is the normal diet, you probably don't need any supplements.
All right, sir. So the second question is, since health has taken a backseat during the lockdown, what precautions should be taken while carrying out activities like walking and jogging in the days to come?
Right. So when you're going for a walk, you certainly can wear a mask and go. When you go for a jog, it's not advisable to wear a tight mask, because when you start jogging, you let out a lot of oxygen. You may retain carbon dioxide because of the mask. So go in an open area. Do not meet people. Do not jog with someone and talk with someone. Please try to keep a distance of 6 feet between two people. So I think once you can do that, and you can maneuver and manipulate by going at a time that it's not crowded. If you have the time, go at a different place. You don't have to go into a particular area or park that you've been going to. So please be careful about the mask point that I want to make.
Yes, sir. So the third question we have is, besides all the cautions taken, how likely is a contamination through the air we breathe or through the sweat when we are out once this lockdown opens up?
The virus does not spread through sweat at all. The virus spreads essentially through the droplet route, which is the cough, the sneeze, the snot. Now, I don't know who this gentleman or the young lady is asking me this question about the air contamination. I will only answer the part that's relevant to you all. Air contamination is near negligible unless you are close to someone who has coughed or sneezed. But yes, air contamination for people like us who are in the ICU still remains a possibility, but not for people who are in the open air.
All right, sir. So the fourth question is how long does the sanitization last, and how frequently should it be done in these situations, and are there any long-term effects of regular sanitization?
No, so sanitization in terms of, especially what you're using every day, your desktop, your laptops, your door handle, etc., should be done at least once or twice a day. There are no long-term side effects. You have specific sanitizers for specific things. I don't want you to use a harsh sanitizer which has 99% alcohol on your mobile, which can crack, or the screen of your laptop, which can crack. You have specific disinfectants. The long-term effects are really null except for monetary effects.
All right, sir. And which is more advisable, sanitizer with alcohol or regular washing of hands? And how frequently? Again,
Regular washing of hands with soap and water is as good as washing your hands with alcohol-based rub. So how frequently? I will send the video across to your team how to wash your hands, but you must wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. 20 seconds by the clock. Now you're going to ask and laugh and ask me, am I going to carry a clock in the bathroom? No, you aren't going to carry a cloth, but I'll tell you what you can do. You can sing happy birthday to yourself twice, and that's equal to 20 seconds.
all right, sir. Given the current number of cases, is it advisable to work from home instead of traveling to the office?
Well, I cannot take that decision in terms of your office, but at some point of time, everyone will start getting to work. I'm sure they'll stratify it and strategically develop a way that fewer people come in and fewer people go out. There's some physical distancing in the initial days. So people have started working as of yesterday and day before.
Yes,
I don't know what the result of this could be, especially with so many less BST buses and people flinging all around the buses. But yeah, I mean, eventually people will have to start working with a strict physical distancing and norms of hand washing and hygiene.
All right, sir. And if a person in the building is found to be COVID positive, what should be the steps taken by the people if we are staying in the same building?
Okay, so COVID does not spread through walls, does not enter your home. As Mr. Reddy correctly said, it's a very egoistic virus. It is not invited until you invite them. So
Definitely.
your technical question is, if someone has had the building and he's going up and down, can it spread? Well, if it's, it's called formite transmission. That means transmission on wood, flooring, ceiling, walls, lift knobs, door handles, etc. It's a possibility. No more than 24 hours at the most. Maximum is steel, which can last for 2 to 3 days. So what you have to do, the BMC in Mumbai is very, very active. They'll make sure that this family or this person is isolated. They will not allow him. And so is the society. They will make sure this person doesn't come out of the house. There is nothing else to be fearful of. You just, you can ask the society to sanitize the building on and off. They can use 2% or 5% hypochlorite, which is good enough to sanitize the house, to the building. But otherwise, there's no fear of someone else has got COVID. I mean, so many people in your neighborhood, in your office would have had tuberculosis in the past, which is more infectious and contagious, but we've never been worried of so much of TB.
Yes.
So
Yes.
don't worry about it.
All right, sir. So would you be able to take a few more questions? There are actually questions rolling in as we speak, sir. All right, sir. So has HCQ been effective in COVID treatment?
Hydroxychloroquine sulfate is actually an anti-malarial. I will speak about the safety first. So it's a safe drug. People with autoimmune disease have been taking it for 5 and 7 years continuously when they're diagnosed with autoimmune disease. As far as the efficacy, the ICMR, the Indian Body for Research and Medicine, has said that hydroxychloroquine, along with another drug, is safe and effective for both treatment and prophylaxis. To my personal belief, although the data from the West has negated the use of hydroxychloroquine, that means they have said it's done more harm than probably good, I think it does work. So I think hydroxychloroquine is there as stay of treatment. The final answer will only be after a year when we have massive data, especially across the malaria endemic countries. That's where chloroquine is commonly used.
All right, sir. And in case of traveling to hometown by train under emergency conditions, what precautions to be taken? That's the next question then.
So if you have to travel anywhere, make sure that you keep sanitizing and washing your hands with soap and water, because there'll be many people. It's a public property at the end. Do wear a mask. If you're going to meet elderly people, I would say stay away from them. I mean, unless it's a short visit, but if you're going for 15-20 days, try to avoid as much as contact as possible, especially the first 5 to 7 days. But if it's a short visit, please wear a mask. You may wear gloves also, and stay away from the elderly especially.
All right, sir. So one of the questions, the patient is diabetic. Are there any extra measures he or she needs to take? And in case he or she gets infected, do they have a lower chance of recovery?
So a diabetic should always be careful, not only for COVID, but just to make sure that his sugar remains under control to prevent his other micro and macrovascular complications like heart, stroke, kidney, etc. In the context of COVID, if you have had uncontrolled diabetes, you are at more a chance of getting a complication. I would not say you're more at a risk of death, but I'd say you're more at a chance of getting a complication. Uncontrolled diabetes.
All right, sir. And what would be the key differentiating point between a regular flu and COVID-19?
So a regular flu typically has a lot of sneezing. So when you have a common cold, when you have common flu, you have a lot of sneezing, you have intense headache, you can get stuffiness of nose, and if it's allergic, you can also get runny nose. In COVID, you get more fever with sore throat and cough. So those upper respiratory symptoms of the nose and all are less. In COVID, you get more loss of smell, whereas a common flu, you get typically running nose and eyes which are burning, which is not common in COVID.
All right, sir. So just another 4 questions by the looks of it, if you don't mind. Which kind of a mask should be used ideally? Is N95 effective? And do we need to wear the mask inside a car while driving?
N95 mask should be reserved for the healthcare workers. For people who are driving and walking on the road and go to office and have had no direct contact with a COVID positive patient, a surgical mask or a 3-ply mask is good enough. You don't need to wear an N95 mask. Whilst driving, if you're alone in the car, it's no use wearing a mask. Avoid using the AC too much, so you can roll down the windows and you don't have to wear a mask unless you're coming in contact with someone.
All right, so the last 3 questions are in relation to fomite spread. In terms of first one being how long does it stay on metal and cloths? How about surface to surface transfer? Does it take place? What is the life of virus outside the body fluids? And seeing the latest guidelines of the CDC, CO2 about this, are there any points regarding this? And
yeah,
I'll break this into 2 questions. First, we'll just deal with this. Yes, sir. The second part, I'll mention after you're answering this part, sir.
No, go ahead, no problem. So, okay. So
Okay.
for my transmission, as I've spoken before, it can spread typically from surfaces if you've had a contaminated cough or a sneeze or a droplet infection. Yes. I've told you steel and metal, it can remain for a longer time. Wood and cardboard is much lesser, from 3 hours to up to maximum of 24 hours. That's about formite transmission. I mean, if someone has got COVID and come and sneezed on that table and you come in the next 10 minutes and touch the surface and then touch your nose or your face, then there's a risk that you will get it. But if someone has sneezed, you obviously sanitize this later in the day. If not sanitized, and you come in within 24 hours, the likelihood of formite transmission is very, very less. The CDC has already made a statement that formite transmission is negligible. It's extremely rare. But there is always a technical issue. That's why I'm giving you these examples.
All right, sir. Sir, and any special care which should be taken in terms of the groceries, vegetables, fruits, newspaper, milk, bags? Would it be ideal to keep it in isolation for 24 hours? This was the second part.
Yeah, unless if you want to have curd out of the milk, you can keep it in isolation for 24 hours. But if you're very scared, then clean the plastic bag with water and soap, and then you can use it. The best thing is, I would expand that question and say if you get food from outside also. So if you order food from outside or you get grocery from outside, make sure you clean the grocery, you clean the vegetables well with just water. The grocery packets can be cleaned or leave them for 24 hours unless you don't need them. If you need them, open it, shift it to another, another vessel or a box or dabba, whatever you want, and then use it. In terms of getting fancy sprays for vegetables, etc., it's not required. Just water and rinsing, because you're not hopefully going to eat the vegetables raw. Even if you have a salad at this moment when monsoons are around, it's best to have hot salad. The other question was, Dr. Kothari, about
basically, is it correct to keep it in isolation? That's so you've answered.
yeah.
The last part is, how many strains of COVID are known? Can someone get COVID twice?
So in India, as of 2 days ago, we found 11 serotypes of COVID. That's medical science. Few cases in China have shown that you can get a relapse. Elsewhere in the world, because it's just a 3.5-month-old virus, there has been no data to say you get a relapse. And that's why the antibody test, which comes in, an effective antibody test when it comes in at the moment, it's not sensitive, may actually tell you that you are immune to the virus and you may not get virus. It does not tell you that you can go out freely without a mask, behave abnormally, behave irresponsible. It can just tell you the chance is less.
All right, sir. And any particular, the final two questions, and I feel that's the end of the questions coming in.
Yeah.
Any particular brand of hand sanitizer which can be used?
Any sanitizer that has written 70% or more alcohol is good enough. Most sanitizers at this moment available in the market have 70% or more. That's good enough.
All right, sir. And in terms of the drugs which are being tested right now, Tamiflu, Remdesivir, how effective have they been on the field at this point?
So Tamiflu is actually not effective for COVID-19. It's essentially for influenza. Remdesivir is a IV antiviral. It's a nucleotide analog. The efficacy of Remdesivir is about 28 to 30%. What Remdesivir has shown in America, where it's US FDA approved, is that it shortens the duration of illness from a mean of 11.2 days to a mean of 9.8 days. It has not shown that it has saved lives, but my personal little experience with Remdesivir has been promising. I think it's a good drug, and probably that's the only drug which is right in the beginning, in the front line as of now.
All right, sir. So I think that pretty much wraps up all the questions which we've received on all the various platforms. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you once again for giving us your time and being so approachable and informative. It's been a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much.
Not at all. Thank you, Dr. Mikhal. You're doing a great job in the office too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
Thank
Good night.
you. Take care.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Good night.